There was a little moment. Okay, we're live on Facebook
Hello, Facebook. How are you? Everybody getting good over there?
and we're live on YouTube.
Oh, we're live on YouTube too? Oh, it's the YouTube folks. We have Facebook and YouTube. Are we live on Instagram? Are we doing the gram?
Arvin knows how to do Instagram. I am a demigod, not an actual god.
I see. So, hello, everybody in Facebook and YouTube land. Welcome to another Berkeley Poetry Slam. It has been a while, so we are back with our new shit slam. But before we get into tonight's proceedings, today's show is brought to you by our wonderful supporters over on Patreon. Over the last year, these monthly donors have been holding it down and ensuring that we are able to artistically and financially support these poets, artists, and educators that we bring to our virtual stages. Nothing would be possible without your continued sustainable support. So thank you to our patrons in particular, Alice Nami, Melody Montgomery, John Romankowitz, Stephanie Yaboya, Renee Edmonds, Emily Chow, and Kalela Lee for risking it for the biscuit with us. And thank you to Jessica Kosikic for sponsoring one of our weekly workshops. And a special thank you to Alex Grimm and Rebecca Abram for pledging $100 a month in support of our venue, the Allen Bluford Center. Now, our average donation is only $11 a month, and that means for less than the price of a Netflix subscription, you can support a global literary and performing arts movement. If you enjoy what you are seeing today, which you will, or you just love the arts, which you do, or you believe in the reparations and liberation of third world people, which you better, head on over to patreon.com/richoakevents. That one more time, that is patreon.com/richoakevents. But Colin, what if I can't donate monthly, but I would still like to financially contribute on a one-time basis? I'm so glad I pretended you asked. If you would like to donate it to us one time, we accept donations via Cash App at hashtag Rich Oak Events or at Venmo at Rich Oak Slam. All of that will be typed into the chat. But we are a 501c3 nonprofit, so your donations are tax deductible. So you get to do good things and say fuck the government. So yes, it's great for everybody. So thank you everybody who supports us at Patreon. Check us out on Patreon, Cash App, Venmo if you would like to support us. But now on to the rest of the show. Woo! Welcome to the Berkeley Poetry Slam. If you have never been to a poetry slam before, Poetry Slam is a competition. That means we have taken art and put numbers to it. It does not make sense, but it gets poets paid and it gets you to watch it. So I consider it a moderate success. But the way that it works is that we have 6 amazing poets who will have 3 minutes and 10 seconds to do whatever piece they like. They will be scored by a few random judges who will score them from 0 to 10 with using 1 decimal point. A 0.0 is the worst piece of shit you've ever heard in your life. Like this, like you had a vague memory of this poem and it ruined the entire vibe of your day. Like you couldn't get anything done just because you remembered 1 line from this poem. And a 10.0 is absolutely amazing. It did something like incredible and like changed the world, like curing cancer or curing bigotry or curing bigoted cancer. I don't know what that means, but that poem cured it. The point being, there aren't many zeros, there aren't many tens. Score accordingly. We have this thing called score creep, where as the night goes on and you may or may not be partaking in different substances, poetry starts to sound better and you start to score higher. Don't do that shit. We want the people who go first to have the same chance as the people who go last. So to help you out, we will have a sacrificial poet who will go first. You will score them as if they are in the poetry slam. They are not in the slam, but they're your calibration. Anybody you like more, score higher. Anybody you like less, score lower, but stay consistent. Those were the rules for the judges. Next, we have rules for the poets. Poets, no props, no animals acts, no musical accompaniments, no costumes, no nudity, but most importantly is the time limit. You have 3 minutes with a grace period at 10 seconds to say whatever the fuck you want. After 3 minutes and 10 seconds, you will be deducted points by our scorekeeper, Becky. Everybody give a round of applause for Becky for doing math on a Wednesday night. unless you are in college or in school, math on a Wednesday night is not like something that I would be expecting you to do. So props to Becky for that, and thank you so much. But we also have word of the day. Our word of the day is something that we took randomly for the internet that poets have to now cram organically into their poem for an extra point. Our word of the day, brought to you by dictionary.com, is grammary, which means occult magic. Oh, I'm sorry, occult learning or magic. So if poets use grammary in their poem, they will be given a extra point. Judges, you don't have to worry about that. Our scorekeeper would take care of it. And it is a special show today. This is our new shit show. So for our new shit show, new poems and poems that have not been performed on this stage are highly encouraged. They are not required, but you will have my forever love and respect if you come up here with some new shit at our new shit slam. And that is the rule for our poets, which means, you guessed it, it's rules for our audience. You are sitting in your own home, and I'm going to tell you what to do, and I'm going to love every minute of it. First off, pull out your cell phones, like, share, and subscribe to our Instagram and our Twitter and Facebook at the Berkeley Poetry Slam. Also, comment on the feed if you're watching on Facebook and YouTube, and let us know how much you love these poems. Be more enthusiastic than you would be in a slam in person. It's kind of dead here in our homes, unless you have an audience with you. But like most of us don't. We're just sitting here in our homes by ourselves, spitting poetry to the internet. So like, you know, say something so that we don't have an existential crisis every 5 minutes. And last but not least, we have a freedom of speech rule. Poets can come up here and say whatever the fuck they want, but freedom of speech does not mean freedom from accountability. So if someone says something fucked up, you can let them know. You can have a conversation with them politely or not politely. If you're not going to have a polite conversation, don't put my name or my organization in it, because that's your prerogative. But we encourage polite, informative conversations to combat any kind of bigotry or ignorance in our spaces. But it all starts with having these conversations and being comfortable saying whatever the fuck you want. So that's what you're going to hear tonight, whatever the fuck these poets want to say. So without further ado, are we ready to start the show? Because we have a kick-ass list of poets. Poets will be reading in this order. We have Breeze the Poet, followed by Dylan Collins, then Carnalita, then Nicole Tracy, followed by Mecca Miles, and then ending off with Esperanza. Give it up for everybody performing tonight.
Yeah.
Woo! Gang, gang, gang. So without further ado, we have our poets, we have our rules, we have our judges and our audience. Are we ready to start our show? I don't hear anything. I don't know if we're ready to start the show. Well, we're actually not ready to start the show, because before we start the show, we need our sacrifice, someone to warm you up to poetry, to spill of the blood. So on deck, we have our first poet of the first round, Breeze the Poet. But coming up to the stage, give maximum love to our sacrificial poets. Give it up for Reggie. Woo!
Check, check. Can you hear me?
Yes, but you have to highlight yourself. That's your job.
I did.
Then why am I still here?
I don't know. I spotlighted myself.
Is it because we look the same? This is racist.
Oh, okay. Wait.
Yes, you're spotlighted.
Okay. Here we go. Technical difficulties, everyone. I do not wear acrylic nails in public because niggas like to have problems and I like to fight, and I can't form a fist without scratching myself. And men think that every drop of my blood is theirs to take, and bleeding makes me look so easy. I can't lie. Whenever I am called a faggot in public, a part of me smiles because I know exactly what kind of violence I am capable of. I've got a California summer's worth of smoke for that ass. Wildfire faggotry, unbridled rage. I try not to look weak because who am I to deceive a man into an early grave? I refuse to pretend to be David when I am the bitch that fucked up Goliath. Like I won't drag a man through the very same streets he tried to bury me in. I once heard an OG say, don't let them gay niggas fool you. You'll get fucked up by a nigga in your girlfriend's clothes. And I said, yes, because a bruised cheek is nothing compared to what could happen to me if I don't get my hands up fast enough. Cocksucker becomes cocked, gun becomes caught dead in a ditch on Sunday evening. She made the news Monday morning, but the whole city is chanting a name that was dead long before she was. Even in death, I got too much shit to worry about besides a nigga who lets an unruly tongue get his ass beat. I got too much forever in my blood to die. Too much fight in my knuckles to break against a nigga that's too soft to accept my existence without invalidating his own. Don't forget, violence is a two-way street and I have always been a damn good driver. Yes, there is dick beneath this skirt. Do not let this be the reason you die tonight. Do not let this be the reason that I lose $10 worth of plastic off the tips of my fingers because press-ons snap off easy in a fight if you only use the glue tabs. Only ghetto bitches know that. Only ghetto bitches used to being called ghetto bitches as a threat know that. And something about transphobia makes me want to commit several felonies because everywhere I go, there are always more dangerous men stalking the shadows, watching for me to let my guard down and waiting for their chance to strike first.
All right, give it up one more time for our sacrifice, Reggie. Starting us off with the heat. Judges, send your scores into our scorekeeper, Becky. This is the longest I'm going to give you to send in scores. This is your practice round. But that was amazing. We are now warmed up, lit the room on fire, and we are ready to get into our actual slam. So on deck, we have Dylan Collins, but coming up to the stage, give it up for Breeze the Poet. Woo!
Woo! Agree.
Let's go, Poet.
Can y'all hear me?
You're good.
All right, facts. Okay. The moment my feet touched the sacred space of your city, I began to think about the last time I took part in the communion of your holy. My spirit amplified to the memory of the joyful noise of your moans. My thoughts rushed back to the matrimony of our bones, and I started to feel alive for you. Wanted you to sit on this pew and pray, dance your problems away, or let me speak a sermon into the mouth of the ocean you own that had to be the same wet that Jesus walked on. And see, the parts of me have started to need of a rival. And I've been much more of a morgue these days, so I miss you. I want you to kiss me like a casket kisses a corpse, a place for the decaying of me to rest, a warm place for all this cold dead inside my chest. Or maybe I'm bugging. Maybe I'm lying to myself, and maybe I just don't want to call the dead thing by its name. Us, because the thought of us is a dead thing and my mind is a casket, and I've been praying for a resurrection. So now I'm back at the sanctuary of your smile, like Jesus revisiting the tomb, trying to figure out where he left the third day, looking for a miracle for us to rise again. And maybe I just wish we could be reborn. But isn't it funny how undying love could be the yearning for a matrimony of bones, even if all you come up with is dead and dirt and corpse? Or maybe I'm bugging again, and I just don't want to call convenience what it is. Don't want to call insecurity what it is, but rather call it undying love, undead, like zombie shit or whatever. But isn't whatever is pumping all of this sick blood through these veins the problem in the first place? I'm wondering, if I gave you my heart and it was dead, could I resurrect through you? Wouldn't that give you purpose? But also, wouldn't that be just like a man throwing around all this nothing like a prize, giving away all his dead to be reborn at the expense of a womb? See, you were life to me, even in my absence, even in my death. And maybe I lost all my reason to feel like a God without you. Or maybe you are a God, like giver of life, and I am just a dead thing all over again without us. But either way, I am here, back at the sanctuary of your city, full of shit and sin, because anywhere you are is sacred ground, and I forgot how to feel alive. And I'm just trying to remember how to pray.
Woo! Give it up one more time for Breeze the Poet. Gang, 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 gang. Judges, you know what to do. Send your scores in to Becky, our scorekeeper. Becky, if you could send me the score, the total score for the sacrifice. And while we are getting into that, shameless plug. Did you know that every Wednesday before our show, we have a writing workshop? No? Oh my gosh, even
You
better
don't
news.
say.
Did you know that every Wednesday before our show, we have a writing workshop and it's free? Yes, check us out. 7 p.m. every Wednesday. We are on Zoom doing amazing work with these poems, doing generative workshops. We've had other poets come in and do like artists, like professional development. We've had people do like revising and editing. There's so much that can happen at these workshops, and it does not matter if you've never picked up a pen before or if you're a world champion. We accept all writing levels, and everybody learns something. So definitely, if you feel inspired by anything you hear and you want to put pen to paper, check us out every Wednesday. And our last poet, our sacrifice, Reggie, got a score of a 27.2. Give it up for the poet and not the scores. And moving right along on deck, we have Carnalita, but coming up to the stage right now, give maximum love to our second poet, Dylan Collins. Woo! Your last name is my first name.
Y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Dear Subway sandwich I couldn't afford in September 2016. Beautiful foot-long meatball marinara of my dreams. Life sometimes is rock-like reality in the moment of reach from hand to left jean pocket. When you are only survival, you do not realize there's a difference between broke and broken. You hold both in your breath, but there is no time to talk about what they make you feel. 60-hour work week grinds into full-time student, into father, into food on the table, into undiagnosed manic episodes. She grinds into the stability you can never grasp, into homeless, into I am broke, into am I broken? Do I not have $6 to buy a sandwich? I don't take this for granted. Today, I see you, sandwich, the quintessential quencher of my hunger. And when I do not have to think of the consequences of your purchase, I smile. I hold you like hope in my hands. You stare back innocent, delicious, because you're a sandwich. Simple pleasure. Today, I'm not a constant checking account checker. Used to bounce like a basketball, but now there's no late fees in my life. Overdrafts are over. Sometimes even got some spare change in my pocket, not poverty paralyzing my movement. Most of us just need the baseline of basic needs met. But we allow 1% of us to imprison the rest with the deception that profits equal power. But like Lauren said, keep your eyes on the final hour, because capitalism only works for them if we're passive. And in this future, that's all in the past, love. The Trumps, Elons, and Bezoses, they are not gods. They are not kings. They are not even good businessmen. They are simply the end product of privilege, slavery, and consolidation of wealth. For every homeless family living in poverty because of their policies, I'm gonna let my bootstraps trickle down onto their ass. I'm in the mood for eating the rich, and today I can afford a sandwich, y'all. Sit and savor the soul we kept that others sold. I will smile and sit with my sweet onion chicken teriyaki rolling down my chin. just for a moment. And remember those moments you were all a dream. And pray that in this new reality, we can all break some Italian herbs and cheese bread together. Thank you.
All right, give it up one more time for Dylan Collins. Gang, 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 gang. Judges, send your scores in to Becky. And our last poet, Breeze, got a score of a 26.3. Fuck the scores, give it up for the poet. Gang, 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 gang. All right, and on deck, we have Nicole, Tracy, but coming up to the stage, give maximum love to Carnalita.
Yeah, let's go, let's go.
Let's go.
My stage name is Carnalita. I am reading you guys a poem. It's called Mujer de mi Tierra, which translates in Woman of My Land. And it goes a little something like this. The day I was born, I came into this world feet first. From the moment I took my first breath and belted out my first cry, my ama said I wanted to hit the ground running. I've never stopped, always in search of something greater than life itself, curious as to what the universe has to offer me. Mujer de mi tierra, daughter of the sixth sun, Mexica blood running through these veins, skin brown like oiled mahogany, hair black like obsidian, eyes brown like the soul that raised me. They want soft pedaling, and I give them live symphony. Never quiet, penetrating through the negligence that covers the ears of those who don't wish to hear us. Never quiet. There's a fire that burns deep within me, inherited, not created. The light, it calls to you, but you fear my heat because you know it all too well that it has the power to burn you. No longer confined by the restrictions, the ideals modern day society fights every day to impose upon me. They used to burn women like me at the stake. Call me bruja, enchanted by my magic, yet intimidated by the power I hold at the tip of my tongue. There is nothing more feared than a woman who knows herself. Soy mujer de mi tierra. In the full extent of the word empowered, triumphant, I stand. Soy mujer de mi pueblo. And that's it. Damn.
All right, give it up one
Come
more
on,
time for Carnalita. Gang, 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 gang. It's been such a great night. We are moving quickly. Hold up. Before we move on and I announce other scores, I would just like to say it's great to be back. We took a couple months off because we have been very tired doing all this amazing work for the past like year and a half. But it's great to be back, even if it's online. We do have one in-person show. So if you're in the Bay Area, come on out to Oakland Slam every third Tuesday at Lucas Tag Room. We are back in person, but we're still online for Berkeley Slam. We're still online for Rich Oak Alchemy Open Mic. But it's just been really great to connect with everybody again and see all your smiling faces.
Colin, who's
So,
featuring?
who's featuring at our next show at Oakland Slam? Oh, it is Asia Bryant Wilkerson. Gang, 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 gang.
Woo!
You know,
Good,
Asia
okay.
is Asia back in the Bay, like living in the Bay?
Should be.
Cause fuck that, I'm never gonna win a slam again. Shit. But we're excited to have a really, really good friend and like dope poet come on out to Oakland Slam and feature. So it's going to be an amazing night, but we have an amazing night going on right here. And our last poet, Dylan, got a score of a 25.4. Fuck the scores, give it up for Les Poets. And on deck, we have Mecca Miles, but coming up to the stage, give a maximum love to Nicole, Tracy. Woo!
Mic check.
We can hear you.
Yellow Peril responds to being told to lean into stereotypes 150 years later. It is astounding how quickly you forget they called us dangerous, because a few of them changed their mind and called you model minority. You pander to what they want, taking your own advice and leaning in. They only listen when you call yourself a success story anyways, only care because you too come from a line of doctors, lawyers, and mathematicians, all of who believe surviving means becoming one of them, pointing the danger towards anyone else. Only get people to care because your slogan gets people chanting math, math, math at the only Asian on the debate stage. Make America think harder. Will they be proud to call you a representative of our community? Make America think harder. If I wanted to whitewash myself, I would open fucking Harry Potter and note the lack of lines Cho Chang has, or how Asian characters are often played by white actors. Make America think harder. They still don't love us. We're just called new things. Yellow Peril becomes revoked citizenship, becomes ally, now called enemy, becomes Oriental, becomes Kung Flu and China virus, all accompanied by redacted slurs. Make America think harder. A few selected to be held up as the model minority, used as a shield so they can say, they aren't racist, they like the good ones after all, but still assume we got here by some gramarye or magic. Make America think harder. They label you first generation so you get all that comes before American. You tell me to lean in. Stereotypes are flat, one-dimensional, and dangerous, and I am so much more than that. And Mr. Yang, while your policies were important, I'm sure you too saw yourself get drowned out by the sea of whiteness and mediocrity on the debate stage and in the news. You could have been so much more than the candidates who thought his economic policy would work because he's Asian and can do math. I know it is never easy to be the first or second or any counted number to do something. I'm sure you made sacrifices for your identity to be heard too, but you should not become what they demand of you. Be like them. Demand to place yourself. Don't lean in, stand up. Stereotypes are flat, one-dimensional, and dangerous, and you are so much better than that.
Woo! Give it up one more
Come
time
on.
for Nicole,
Have it go.
Tracy. Gang, 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 gang. And our last poet got a score of a 25.2. Fuck the scores. Give it up for the poet. Somebody said in the chat, where are the 10s? They're in hell with the rest of us. They are wherever the judges are hiding them. Maybe the audience can sway the judges. Maybe the judges remain unswayed, but I am an unbiased host and care not of scores and only of poetry. And speaking of poetry on deck, we have our last poet of the first round, Esperanza, but coming up to the stage right now, give it up for Mecca Miles.
Mic check, can everyone hear me?
We can hear you.
My hands begin to ask for validation before my brain can catch up to what they're doing. The text reads, on a scale of 1 to 10, it reads, but what if I reads, we could be so reads, hypothetically speaking, if it was gonna be someone reads, what gramarye need I perform for you to ever love me? I begin to ask questions that I don't want to know the answers to, but I need to know. Is your inability to love rooted in the hauntings of your own home? Do your floorboards creak with the wailings of permanent poltergeists through their cries? Sound like longing and indecision? Do you dance with the devil under your red Alexa light? Do you fear that the skeletons in your closet will rattle too loud for you to even hear my moans? I often wonder if your hesitancy is a product of your own phantoms or if your demons just don't play very well with mine. I wonder if I am too much of a cemetery If you could never see anything, let alone yourself living there, do you see these moss-colored tombstone eyes and pray that they never adorn your grave? That I am never the marker of a life you left behind. The text reads, hey, I miss you. Reads, what are you doing this weekend? I write, do you have just a little room in your halls for a few more bones? Can I scatter myself across your bed and become another apparition that you will one day sage or pray away? I ask, will you exorcise me the moments I leave, or will you let me linger? Become just another dead thing that resurrects itself as a question in someone else's unsent text messages.
Woo! All right, give it up one more time for Mecca Miles. Gang, 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 gang. And our last poet, Nicole, got a score of a 27.7. Fuck the scores. Give it up for the poetry. Woo! And we are almost halfway done with our show. Oh my goodness, halfway done. We're already halfway there. Halfway there. If anybody watches SpongeBob, you know, the old people, then you would get that reference. But if you don't, you will get. Thank you, Tino. Tino gets the reference. I'm happy now. I feel connected. All right, so on deck, we have our second round, but coming up to the stage, give it up for our last poet of the first round. Give one more maximum round of applause for Esperanza.
Woo! Okay, can everyone hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay,
Let's
cool.
go, poet.
All right. An ode to all the poems I am not yet ready to write. An ode to my dog, how dreams of dogs chased me in my dreams until I had no choice but to admit he was no longer with me still. Until I had no choice but to admit he is gone. An ode to the senior home, to each person on hospice that in a few short months I've lost. To all the ones I know will be lost in just a few short years, the time we have will never suffice. An ode to painful situations, how even they have something to be learned from, how the pain can create art, lessons, wisdom, a softer heart, or a harder one. An ode to my tío Armando, an elegy to a reminder that he is really gone and not just still in Mexico, waiting out the year until the heat returns to California, a reminder that his health was degrading and he chose to spend his last year with his son, who did not value him, hurt him time and again, who stole his money, and lastly, gifted him the very illness that stole his final breath away. A reminder that in Mexico, people are paid to say COVID was the cause of death for their loved one so that the state is eligible for special funding. A reminder that my tío Armando was the last brother my mom had left, that even though that day has now passed when she found out, I saw my future. Fate showing me the heartbreaking moment my brother or I will find out the other has died. A reminder that no one except my cousin was allowed to see or talk to my tío in his final days, that the day he died was the day my family found out my brother had COVID hundreds of miles away. An ode to my time in lockdown, how each day felt like I was watching the news, but I was not watching the news because the news in my household was watching my brother recover, knowing the rest of us would be next, knowing my dad was going to be next. The man I always joked from the start was the poster child for pre-existing conditions. There was a point I thought my dad would have preferred death instead of the half-life he lived in that time, always sleeping, never resting, drained of energy and hope. The night he could not taste chili, I think he almost cried. The night he could barely go down the stairs, he tried climbing up into the attic to fix the heater. The way he was, I was scared he was going to fall and die. The way he was, I was scared he was going to die. As for my time in lockdown, I felt like I was suffocating, not literally or physically, but my claustrophobia kicked in when I got my positive result and realized I'd be stuck inside. The whole thing sucked. I felt lucky, cursed to feel like COVID was a bad case of allergies. I saw the way it choked the breath out of my dad, how he could barely breathe even with his CPAP machine. It made me feel helpless, that there was little I could do to help my family fight this disease we had. I was in quarantine, and the only good things were binge watching Netflix series and this art form called poetry.
All right, give it up one more time
Woo!
for
Come on,
Esperanza. Gang, 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 gang. And we have reached the end of our first round. Oh my goodness. And for reference, our last poet, Mecca, got a score of a 28.7. And as soon as I have Esperanza's score, I will be announcing that. But before we get into the next round is special. What y'all in the audience may not know is that poets were not just competing for fame. They were competing for glory and cash prizes, which is even more important than both the fame and the glory. So our top 3 winners get cash prizes. This next round will determine who that is. As far as I can see, the scores are pretty fucking close. Third and second place are really up for grabs. It's anybody's game. It's a really, really fun and amazing night of poetry. But it does, because we have cash prizes, it takes money to make this show run. So just a reminder, if you have not already checked out our Patreon, yes, I'm looking at you with the Mountain Dew. Check out our Patreon at patreon.com/richoakevents or our Cash App at Berkeley Slam. Is it Berkeley Poetry Slam or Berkeley Slam? I don't know what it is. Someone tell me.
It's Berkeley Slam.
All right, hashtag Berkeley Slam or at Rich Oak Slam on Venmo. You can donate from anywhere from $1 to $1 million. If you are donating $1 million, just make sure you write out that check out to Colin Edmonds, and I will make sure that it gets to the right place. Most importantly, make sure that you are donating to one of the most amazing poetry organizations in the world, definitely in the Bay. And our last poet, Esperanza, got a score of a 28.3. Give it up for the poet and not the scores. And now we are ready to move into round 2. So usually we take 5 poets in round 2, but there are only 6 poets, and I would feel like the world's biggest asshole just to kick off 1 poet. That would feel so bad. So everybody makes it into the second round. We will be going in reverse order. So if you performed last, you will be performing first this round. If you performed first to last round, you will be performing last. As the Bible says, the first shall be last and the last will be first. I don't know what the hell that reference is because I left the church a while ago. But I know it references something, which means I was in the church enough. God damn it, I was in the church enough to have some damn sense. So our second round, oh damn. I'm just gonna wing it and read the list backwards because I forgot to copy the list in reverse order. Look at me planning ahead. So our second round will be in this order. It will go Esperanza, followed by Mecca Miles, then Nicole Tracy, then Carnalita, then Dylan Collins, and we will be ending the night off with Breeze the Poet. Give it up for everybody in the second round, which is all of y'all. Give it up for yourselves. Y'all have been amazing so far, and I believe that y'all will continue to be amazing. But without further ado, let's get into the money round. On deck, we have Mecca Miles, but coming up to the stage, give one last round of applause for Esperanza. Woo! Woo!
Appearances can be deceiving. I'm not entirely sure what people choose to see when they look at me. I know they see one piece and magnify that until all they see of the puzzle that is me is my frizzy hair around belly, brown skin, the glasses, wherever their eyes begin. Appearances can be deceiving, but I'm convinced there are some people who look exactly like they're meant to. Others still who look exactly the way no one would expect, only to discover a radiant soul in a jagged vessel or a crooked heart in a beautiful body. Sometimes our eyes can't look past the exterior. We judge based off the things we can see and touch. I can't touch my friends' souls, but when the lighting is right, I can see them. There is no purer thing than wanting to genuinely bring people joy. There are people who make it their life's mission to save others when sometimes all it takes is a well-placed smile, laugh, hug, or fuck you, asshole. I love you too. Appearances can be deceiving. It can be hard to meet comedians off stage for the first time. It's always hard to separate art from the artist, difficult to separate poets from their rhymes just as much as paint from a portrait. It's all important, but the painter is not their paint or their portraits. The artist is everything that makes them up, and their art is just a small part of that. Appearances can be deceiving. My comic friends, they might be exactly what you'd expect to see in comedians. They come in all shapes and sizes, but primarily they're guys with all the dick jokes and sex skits you'd expect from men over the age of children, even though some are dads. They decided to give themselves to this art, and they worshiped the gods of comedy, often with well-placed puns and old-fashioned fun. They can be a lot to take at once, no pun intended, on stage or off. They didn't invent joking or looking at the world with a scoff. They find it hard to take things seriously, but they're no strangers to swimming. If you want to get deep, they won't stay in the shallows. They'll go all in with you. They'll do it. If they think you're worth turning off the comic performing side of their personality, even then they'll still try to get you to laugh if you get sad, shift uncomfortably if you cry, because at their base, in their hearts, they just want to make people laugh. Entertain an audience, let them enjoy an evening well spent. Use Grammarly on the room, pull the strings, put smiles on faces. They bring a magical electricity with a dash of eye-rolling, punerific stupidity. There is no purer thing than wanting to genuinely bring people joy. I can't touch my comics friends' souls, but when the lighting is right, I can see them. And there is no purer thing.
All right, give one last round of applause for Esperanza. Is this your first time on our here at the Berkeley Slam?
No.
All right. Oh, when was the last time you came out?
I want to say it was like a month or two ago. It was before the break.
Okay, if it was before the break, I had just had a baby, so that's why I wasn't there.
I was just about to say,
I was like,
Esperanza.
I don't know if I had seen you before. Okay, so this is your first time here with me hosting, so I'm gonna celebrate you like it's your first time. Thank you so much, even though it's not your first time. We love to see you again. And we do have some more first timers. I would shout you out now, but I'm gonna give you a personal shout out when you come up on stage. Show on deck. We have, if I can read right, Nicole, Tracy, but coming up to the stage right now, give maximum love for Mecca Miles. Woo!
Woo!
My mother's answered prayers sound a lot like beep. An inmate from Harris County Correctional Facility is attempting to make a call. Sounds like, thank God he wound up in a jail instead of a body bag, and I wonder if I'm wrong to want more. If I'm selfish, for my answered prayers to sound a little like the beeping of a time machine, taking my little brother back to the child I knew bad, but determined. Street smart enough to know to stay out of them. If I am an ungrateful sister for wishing that he was coming home from a dorm room instead of a lockdown, for wishing that instead of winding up in a cell, he wound up in Major League Baseball like I knew he would. The very first time he almost hit me after I jokingly threw the ball as fast and as hard as I could, but he made contact with it anyway. At the ripe age of 3, was I wrong to admit that he's the person I love the most in my family? How happy I was that I was the only one who could change his diaper without getting sprayed by pee. How much joy I had when I taught him his ABCs or how to read the Pythagorean theorem about 5 years before he would ever even need to know what it means. But when he calls and I hear the wrong beep, I get angry. I can feel it in my face, hear the venom in my voice every time I try to speak, and a big part of me wants to scream through clenched teeth, tell him that I know he knows better, because I taught him over baseball games that I hated but would still referee. All of those dumbass Cub Scout meetings tell him that orange is not the new black, and I'm mad that he is just another little black boy in orange, but a bigger part of me wants to tell him I'm sorry. I'm sorry for leaving. I'm sorry that my 17-year-old shoulders couldn't take the weight of the world anymore, that I left him with our mother to move on to safer things, that forgiveness for my absence only barely made it into his vocabulary, and maybe, just maybe, if I had have waited just a few more years, he would be waiting for graduation instead of release. I hate that I don't know how the story ends, that I don't know if one survival outweighs the next, if I accidentally, intentionally traded my sanity and emotional stability for his freedom, but I do know that I love him, that I am still here, wishing for some act of gramarye that would allow him to be all that he could be, but also knowing just how many of our decisions make that an impossibility.
All right. Give one last round of applause for Mecca Miles. Gang, 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 gang. And for reference, our last poet, Esperanza, got a score of a 27. Let them know how you feel. Fuck the scores. Give it up for the poets. On deck. Oh my gosh. I cannot read or see. I am blind. But on deck, we have Carnalita. But coming up to the stage right now, give it up for Nicole Tracy.
Yeah.
Content warning for intimate partner violence. Unsolicited advice on how to tell your partner you have been through hell. You can't forget to breathe. Exhaling is a part of breathing. You are allowed to stay or leave based on their reactions. If they ask if they can hold your hand, stay. If they hand you tissues as you cry, stay. Know that this is the kind of love you deserve but didn't get from someone else. If they give a long, sympathy-filled apology, look at you with pity, and you shrink. Exhale, don't regret telling them, but leave. If they ask where someone left bruises and they leave new ones, do not marvel at the colors your arm changed. Exhale and leave them. If they ask what you did to provoke them, do not answer. Leave them. Exhale. If they are jealous, all of your poems are about someone who hurt you. Smirk, tell them they are in a poem now. Do not stay for the material. Leave them. Be proud of yourself for recognizing signs of an unhealthy relationship. Be proud of yourself for being brave enough to leave. Know that this is not an easy decision, but it is the right decision. Doing what is best for you is never selfish. Do not blame yourself. You should not have known better. No parent gives you a guide on leaving an abusive partner. You learn as you go, you grow, you breathe, you exhale, you move forward. It's okay to have complicated feelings about the past. It's okay to smile about your first date. Remember why you were happy with him for a while. You know it was not all bad, that they are not an all bad person, but there is no excuse for hurting someone they claim to have loved. No number of good dates makes up for the pain you still feel. Some days it hurts more than other days. Remember, it is not your fault. It never was, and it never will be. Inhale, exhale. Try and be the best thing for yourself today. Write without knowing where it will go, but knowing you will feel better at the end of it. Inhale, exhale. Remember, you are safe in your writing. You are safe here now.
Woo! Someone just spotlight. Oh, there we go. All right, give it up one more time for Nicole, Tracy, gang, 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 gang. And we are getting towards the end of our slam. We only have 3 more poets left. So on deck, oh wait, I almost forgot to read the last score. Ooh, I caught myself. Look at that. 2 months ago, would have went the whole slam without reading any more scores, but I caught myself this time. Our last poet, Mecca, got a score of a 28.2. Fuck the scores, give it up for the poetry. The poetry is why we're here. Gang, gang. So now on deck, we have Dylan Collins, but coming up to the stage right now, give one more round of applause for Carnalita. Woo!
Woo! Win pose, go Carly.
Let's go.
Woo! Let's go, poet.
Hi. Okay, so this next one is called Sleep Paralysis. Here we go. Half of my dreams turn into thoughts that wither away because I remain too stagnant to chase after them. So I sit by the window, complacently watching my life go by, the paint along the frame chipping day by day like my conscience, chipping away on what I could have been. Without the ability to utter a single word, in a state of illusion, between the stages of wakefulness and deep slumber. As I lay in my bed afraid, paralyzed from the inside of my mind down to the outskirts of my thoughts. Where I'm from, they say, se te subió el muerto. The dead one climbed up on you. The dead one. Like that one time you told your mother you wanted to be a gymnast Olympian, but there was no money. The dead one. Like the time you wish your daddy would come home, but it seems he got lost along the way and things didn't go your way. You blame him anyway. The dead one. You were promised a family of your own, but only came up with a past due car note and 2 mouths to feed. That dead one. The one who wakes up next to you every morning and tells you this is all there is and this is all you'll ever be. Getting ready for your repeatedly dreadful 8-hour shift, numb to the routine. Se te subió el muerto. Forever in a constant state of sleep paralysis, too afraid to chase away those demons that get in the way of your dreams. In my moment of clarity, the fear of failure entangled by the myths of mothers before me bring me to my knees. I'm free. Poverty, missing daddy, fear of failure made me. But as long as there is breath in me, there is no way in hell it could break me. Fighting away my demons, the ones that chase me day and night. Optimistic Sagittarius says, all I need is a little light.
Hey.
All right, give it up one more time for Carnalita. Gang, 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 gang. Oh, there's my beautiful face spotlighted again. But enough of my beautiful face. Let's get back to the beautiful faces and words of the poets. Our last poet, Nicole Tracy, got a score of a 27.4. Fuck the scores. Give it up for the poetry. Gang, 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 gang. And for good measure, gang. All right, on deck, we have our last poet of the slam. Oh, it's Breeze. But coming up right now, we still have a little bit more fire poetry left. We still have 2 more poets. So let's give it up for Dylan Collins.
Gang, 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 gang.
This is called A Sestina on Surviving. On some nights, you hold a tender temple of thunder. Your trauma dug so deep, scrubbing bleach on the truth, it became a watercolor. A beautiful canvas of protection from the fracture when acidic parts of you became apathy to stay alive, believe in the truth on your thirsty tongue to resist. So young, unable to resist when those hands carved into you with thirsty thunder, you froze artificial just to stay alive. Power bleeding on your skin like bleach, you looked into his gray blue eyes like fractured iris was a calculated watercolor. '90s kids are a generation of wounded watercolors, crack babies, ADHD, crazy, power release over resist, taught repress to protect yourself from bone fracture. So slowly in our hearts built the thunder, so much unchecked abuse burned bleach on our skin. I wonder how we are alive. Imagine what they say about you if you weren't alive. Writing your own eulogy is a regular watercolor, bleeding down your page like bleach, but somehow there is a courage in you to resist the urge to touch metal. When you hear the thunder, broke the pattern and never let them see you fracture. Power unchecked believes it will never fracture. Hands clasped on our necks, didn't know we were alive. A movement unleashed under the keyboard thunder. Generations of blossoming watercolors with a foot on their neck, death in their heart. Resist together, take out the dirty laundry, beautiful bleach. The linoleum hallway to back rooms in the '90s smelled like bleach, a continual attempt to clean the abuse away, but the fracture of good old days when good old boys can't resist the beautiful blunt force of the women, girls, and boys who are alive. Despite their attempts to grind us into surrender, we are watercolors, a heart on a blank page, able to persevere, crack like thunder. There is a future in this resistance. Resist us, we teach you our pain, pour bleach on the skin, no longer afraid. Beat. Best hear the thunder fracture, each hand on our mouth, we are alive, the water we drink, the color of survival. Thank you.
Woo!
All right,
Gang,
give
gang,
it up
gang,
one
gang,
more
gang,
time for
gang.
Dylan Collins. And our last poet, Carnalita, got a score of a 25.7. As an unbiased host, I am physically incapable of having any feelings, either positive or negative, about any of the scores you have seen tonight. So without further ado, on deck, we have Seeing Who's Gonna Get This Money, but coming up to this stage right now, give one last round of applause to our last poet of the night. Give it up for Breeze the poet.
Slow in, Breeze. Come on, baby. Hey, man, let's go.
Ow!
I'm sorry for the wait, y'all. It was up and now it's like unresponsive and I gotta reload it. I hope this doesn't affect my time.
You're fine. This is essentially a mic check.
Okay, I'm just gonna do a poem because I don't want to keep y'all waiting. I'm sorry. Yeah, all of a sudden now it's not coming back up. I'm sorry. Okay. I tend to break things. I always thought I was incapable of holding anything the right way. I really just wanted to handle things with care until I realized most people don't want to be held by someone that handles them like a thing. My idea of love is bald tires trying to get a grip on black ice, how the crash be inevitable, but I still strap in, enjoy this ride or die trying, racing toward dead end devotion until I reach the reoccurring collision of reality. See, the outcome of redlining love is usually an accident waiting to happen. And I got this pile up in my chest, heaps of scrap metal from Leadfoot love, reckless in my wanting. Like who puts a speed limit on forever anyway? What are all these roadblocks and rest stops for? I mean, who wants a Sunday stroll when we can just drag race away from all the hurtful shit in our past, even if it means I end up stuck on the side piece of your road for trying to ride with you till the wheels fall off. Yeah, I tend to break things. So I do things like total my heart into emotionally wrecked women. Fresh lemons, beautiful outside, but inside there are screws loose, bolts not completely twisted, vital parts missing. They'll drive off the lot, head in the clouds with the thought of me, but die on me like lemons do. As soon as we reach any destination resembling reality, they move like the only properly functioning parts are their rear view mirrors. They always stay so stuck in their past. They claim they can fix things, always want to fix things, but they aren't really handy with emotional wrenches. So they end up screwing me over while over screwing me and wondering why I'm still broke and broken and holding myself so tight. And I just don't want to let anything go because so many bad breaks make it hard to stop swerving into oncoming emotions. So lie to me again. Tell me that you know what you're doing with that smile glowing like a check engine light, and I'll believe you. Because I need to feel the bleeding break embrace of this crash into each other, because opposite directions could also mean coming together, and out of control means there's no use for a struggle here. So try your best, but understand, just like I have constantly had to crash into the understanding that broke things can't fix broke things. And know how this ends. Crash is inevitable. My kind of love has always been an accident just waiting to happen, but to have it tend to break things, especially.
Woo! Give it
Gang, gang,
one
gang, gang,
last
gang,
time
gang,
for
gang,
Breeze,
Oh, man.
the poet, and give it up for everybody who spit tonight. Thank you to Esperanza and Mecca and Nicole and Carmelita and Dylan and Breeze and Reggie, our sacrifice, and Becky, our scorekeeper, and our bout manager Prophet, and Reggie who's doing all the live streaming, and Arvin who holds everything down. Like, I'm really just bullshitting until we get scores. So I guess in the meantime, while we're waiting for scores and results to see who won this money, we are not the only show in the Bay Area. Although we run them all. We are not the only show in the Bay Area. There are two other shows going on regularly right now. First up is the Rich Oak Alchemy open mic. We are every first and third Saturdays on Instagram Live right now. However, hopefully soon we will be at our home venue of the Allen Buford Center. There is also the Oakland Slam every third Tuesday at Lucas Tap Room. Yes, we're in person. So if you're out here in the Bay Area, whether it's permanently or temporarily, and you just happen to be here on a third Tuesday, come check us out. It's a really kick-ass night of poetry. And our next show is going to be with Asia Bryant Wilkerson. If you miss out on that show, the only person you playing is yourself. I promise you that. So definitely come out to that show. Do I have my skizzly dizzly doos? Not quite yet. Fuck, what am I gonna say?
Who's featuring next week?
At what? At Berkeley Slam?
Yes.
You know, I don't know who's featuring, Tino.
Check the chat.
Check the chizat. Hold up, who's featuring? Oh wait, you meant the Zoom chat and not our group chat. Oh, I see. Oh shit. Our next Berkeley Slam next Wednesday, we will be having Christina Olage. Oh my gosh, I haven't seen them in so long. I miss them. Do we have first, second, and third place? If
We're
not,
working on it.
The score sheet is score sheeting.
Do 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 do. Oh
Play
shit!
the remix, God.
Reggie, I done fucked up
What?
because I minimized the screen to Zoom and I forgot that I have the Berkeley Slam Facebook page pull up. So now I'm looking at myself do the Jeopardy music.
Ah, that's cute.
All right.
Okay. Do we have scores?
Not yet. We're still working on them.
Okay. Oh, it's coming along.
They're there. Let me copy it in.
Boom. Give it up for Becky doing math on a Wednesday night. I had to think about what fucking day it was.
Becky.
Thank you, Becky.
Let me tell you.
On Wednesday.
Everybody who's ever score kept at a slam knows how hard and irritating that job is, especially, I mean, even with the algorithm and the spreadsheet that we use, it's fucking ridiculous. But like all y'all scorekeepers out here who do that shit with pen and paper, we're praying for you.
We really are.
We're praying for your elevation because damn, y'all really holding it down for the culture.
Still waiting.
We got bougie. We said, fuck this math shit. We're going to make the computer do it.
And still end up having to do math, ain't that?
Oh, right.
It's like 1 a.m., ain't it?
Order you sent me first, second, third, or third, second, first?
That is first, second, third.
Okay. All right. In third place, and I don't have the total score, so we're just gonna roll with that. But in third place, winning, I do believe. Are we paying out?
Third, second.
Are you doing first, second, and third, Reggie? First, second, third. I get confused between us and Oakland Slam. It's a lot.
It's $20 for third place.
Okay, cool. That's right. Cool. $20 for third place. So in third place, getting $20. Give it up for Nicole.
Oh, shit.
And your score was a 55.1.
All right, Nicole.
Woo.
Oh, that's me. Hi. Thanks. I'm going to bed because it's 1 o'clock in the morning. But come back next week. Come to the writing workshops. They're dope.
Oh, if I'm not mistaken, you did our writing workshop today.
I did.
It was an amazing workshop, although I did not get to write because Amari stole my phone, but it was still absolutely amazing, and I have some ideas.
Yay! I hope you write a poem and bring it to the next slam or open mic.
I will try. All right. Thank you so much, Nicole. We will definitely see you at more shows. But in second place with a score of 55.3, I told you these scores were up for grabs. Give it up for Esperanza winning $30. Gang.
Let's go, man.
Is there anything you would like to say to the congregation?
Thank you for gas money. It will pay for half of my tank.
Yes. Yes, we love good old economics.
Also, where you live at, where like $30 will fill half your tank up, because California is fucking ridiculous right now.
I live in between Stockton and Tracy.
Oh,
that makes sense.
I say
that's
that
the part of
because
California
if I say the name of the city, you probably won't know it.
Wait, if you say the name of the city, I might know it.
You might. Well, I did say it earlier in the workshop.
I don't remember that part.
Wow.
I'm just over here like, I fill up my tank for like $30. What is going on?
What's going on is like damn near $4 gas.
Damn, that's what.
First of all, I went.
70. Shit.
Anybody who went down to San Diego, iWhips 2019, I don't know if y'all checked gas prices like I do when I was down there, but it was damn near $6. And I was like, no, never in my life.
No.
Nobody ever in their life is paying me. We got to get to the next poet. Who won? We over here talking about gas.
Reggie, I live in Lathrop.
Okay.
Do you know where that is?
I don't know where it is, but I've heard of it because I go like fishing around Tracy, Brentwood, like that kind of area. So I've heard of it.
Yeah. All right.
All right. So give it up one more time for Esperanza, our second place winner. And in first place with I have now, okay, there the scores are. With a score of a 56.9, winning a grand total of 50. I hope they're American dollars. Give it up for Mecca Miles.
Yes.
Woo!
Woo!
Woo! Yeah. So like, I can't get an abortion, but I can get gas for under $3 in Texas.
Jesus.
I don't know if that is a flex or a cry for help.
Cry for help. We're not okay in Texas. We are not okay.
If you don't mind cats, you can come stay with me in Buffalo.
I love cats. My lease isn't up until May though.
I feel like every few months, the whole of the United States jokingly looks at Texas like, hey, Texas, are you okay? And now we're like, oh, this is not a joke.
No, I look at Texas sometimes and I'm like, Texas, guns included, human rights sold separately.
It's sad because it's true.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I love how this is devolving into just a shit talking about all the cities in the United States. The trick is it's not Texas that's not okay. The whole United States is on the struggle bus right now.
The struggle bus and it ran out of gas.
Oh, yeah, and gas is $5 fucking. Oh my gosh. Well, that concludes our poetry slam clearly, because now we're just a whole bunch of old people complaining about gas prices. Congratulations, we are now our parents. But before we were our parents, we were the Berkeley Poetry Slam. We are here every Wednesday. I have been your host, Colin. We will see y'all next time.